Okay, we'll get started here. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular council meeting for November 3rd, 2025 for the City of Dauphin. Calling the meeting to order right at 5 o'clock. And before we do start the meeting, we'd like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is Treaty 2 land, traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Assiniboine, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and national homeland of the Red River Métis. We affirm our commitment to moving forward in partnership with Indigenous communities, including the national government of the Red River Métis, in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation. Moved by Councillor Ray. Actually, we'll skip that because there's no additions or deletions. So we'll go right to moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Ray. Be it resolved that Council accepts the regular council meeting agenda as presented. Anything to add there? Questions, comments? None. Call the question. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Sobering. Be it resolved that Council waives the reading and accepts and approves as circulated the minutes from the meeting on October 20th, 2025. That was a regular council meeting. Any questions or comments regarding those minutes? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Sobering and seconded by Councillor Ray. Be it resolved that Council now adjourns to hear the appeal hearing as scheduled. Questions, comments there? Probably none. So I'll call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. So Council will now commence to hear representations for the schedule appeal hearing under the Municipal Act. This is item number 4B I, appeal hearing for the demolition order for 19 Memorial Boulevard. Just one registered, Ron Missy Abbott, the lead keeper property manager for that property. This hearing is being held pursuant to Section 244 of the Municipal Act to consider an appeal filed by 10059-852 Manitoba Limited regarding a demolition order issued on October 9th, 2025 for the property located at 19 Memorial Boulevard. Notice of this hearing was provided to the appealant in accordance with the requirements of the Municipal Act. Council will hear from the designated officer who issued the order, followed by the appealant or their representative. Council members may ask questions after each presentation. After hearing all submissions, Council will deliberate and make a decision which may confirm, vary, substitute, or cancel the order. The decision will be made via formal resolution. So again, it will not be made tonight. It will be made at the next regular council meeting on November 17th, later this month. So I will now ask Lisa Gadet, Deputy City Manager, to present the background and reasons for issuing the demolition order. Lisa.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor Lachlan. So the property at 19 Memorial Boulevard formerly operated as a restaurant with attached residential suites. It was purchased by 10059-852 Manitoba Limited in May of 2020 and has had no active utilities since January 25th, 2024. As you can see in the exhibit photos, over time the building has deteriorated and it has been the subject of multiple complaints and safety concerns. Both the RCMP and Public Health identified the property as a hazard in 2023 due to open access and unsafe conditions. The building remains boarded up and unoccupied. The property is in violation of Property Standards Bylaw 10/2019, which requires that all buildings be maintained in a condition that does not create a hazard or cause substantial depreciation to neighboring properties. Repeated correspondence and inspections have not resulted in meaningful progress toward rehabilitation or reuse of the property. While the owner has indicated an intent to complete an engineering study, no formal restoration plan has been submitted to the city. Given the extended period of vacancy, the continued deterioration and absence of an approved plan to bring the property back to a safe and usable condition, a demolition order was issued on October 9th, 2025, under the authority of the Municipal Act and the Property Standards Bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the appellant, 10059-852 Manitoba Limited, or their representatives.
Testing. Bonjour. Agachimi gacha gidan maganda mi activi donongam. Ajina tangagi gachunga win tamun namai aninga ikidwanama. Gajaga nashim. Tinsat tamek. Ikandana shik to simdenshna bemwek. Jimmy Wetch. Good evening. As has been said, my name is Ron Missiabbott. I'm lead keeper for Treaty 2. And I'd certainly like to thank Mayor and Council for flying our flags and acknowledging that you're in Treaty 2 territory. That's appreciated by us very much. With respect to Thunder's building, and first of all, with respect to me, I took over as lead keeper, I think 3 years ago, from a Mr. Bo Kubakrovich, who was removed from the position. And as a result of that, I inherited a lot of what I would say issues and opportunities, I guess, and Thunder's being one of them. Thunder's was occupied somewhat, not fully. We used it as a training center earlier on, probably about 4 years ago, I would say, if that. And nothing much has been done with it, as you know. I was asked, I think last year there was a letter written to us by bylaw officer, and I think I told the officer that we were in the process of looking for a grant to do a study. We never got approved last year. We got approved this year, and then I was contacted by another bylaw officer, McGinnis, Mr. McGinnis, I think it is, asking for a management plan or for a plan on what we intended to do with the building. And I told Mr. McGinnis that we received a grant to do an engineering study. And until such time as that grant is done, I can't tell you what our plan is for the building. We don't know if the building is suitable as is or would have to be torn down. And I told him that I think 2 or 3 times. I don't have my emails in front of me, but 2 or 3 times at least. And I asked him, how do you expect me to submit a plan if I don't have the engineering study done? Well, the engineering study was provided to me last Thursday by the firm that did the work. First of all, we were told, I asked at the beginning, how long would that study take? And I was told should be done by June, end of June. And I conveyed that on to Mr. McGinnis. And I then again reiterated to Mr. McGinnis, he was, I think he was disappointed or flustered that the engineering study took that long. But I just conveyed what I was told by the engineer that did the work. So I was just passing on the message. We got the study on Thursday, which is, 2 work days ago, I think it is. And I told Lisa this, I have to take that study to my chiefs to determine next steps with the building. It's up to them to decide what they want to do. So the options are in their hands. I will also ask if I can release that study to mayor and council at such time, but I can't do that in the interim. I worked for the provincial government for 20 years, and I understand the need for confidentiality and a lot of these things. So I hope that the mayor and council can respect that. We have the study, and I have to take it to my leadership for decision and direction. And till such time, we cannot provide a work plan or a timeline for what's going to happen with the building. And just a final note, we have 3 elections going on in our territory right now, which should be concluded by the end of the month and in November. And at which time we plan to convene a Treaty 2 meeting. But please also keep in mind that most of our band offices are shut down middle of December till first week in January. So I face those challenges as well, convening a meeting with the chiefs. So that's my appeal.
Okay. Thank you very much. I guess I'll open to questions from council. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question, Councillor Daly.
Go ahead.
When would you be meeting with the chief to discuss the study?
I raised the issue with us receiving the engineering report with my Grand Chief on Friday, and again this morning, which, by the way, gives us regrets because I'd asked them to join me at this meeting, but our chiefs are extremely busy people. So my intent is to try and convene a chiefs meeting first 2 weeks in December. But as I said, that's You know, like I'm trying to work with 9 chiefs, and it's extremely hard to get them in the same room at the same time. And that's a challenge I face.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Or, yeah, go ahead, Councillor Bellamere.
Okay, assuming that, the engineering plan suggests a plan and that the chiefs decide to move forward, what is your goal with this building? Where ultimately would you like to see it head?
Initially, the building, I think, was bought to utilize it as an educational center. That was the original intent. I cannot tell you what the next intent or what the intent is going to be. I can only share with you that in my work with the federal government, we're trying to move ourselves away from the Indian Act, which means become a self-governing territory, Treaty 2. And as a result of that, we're going to require a home base or home location to do that. Winnipeg is not Treaty 2 territory, so it would have to be done either in Dauphin or in Brandon as the only urban areas we have in our territory that could accommodate something like that. So I can't tell you what the end intent would be. I can't even tell you the chiefs want to retain the building. I don't know any of that. So all of that is going to be up for discussion.
And further, so this is how the gig works, right? You get together, you make a decision, you decide what the plan is, and then I imagine the next step you have to start looking for money.
Correct.
Okay, and you probably don't have a printing press and you have to wait for money to show up somewhere.
You're probably a heck of a lot richer than we are. We don't have a tax base yet.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, I think then we will close the hearing and make a decision on this appeal in the coming days/weeks. Formal council resolution at the regular council meeting will be had on November 17th. I believe that's like regardless of the decision, it will be on the 17th.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Can I leave?
You bet. No, you can stay. There's lots of people in this room that like to stay and watch. So it's up to you.
Thanks for the offer, but I think I'll pass.
Thank you very much for coming though. Yeah. All right, we will continue on. Moved by Councillor Bellamere, seconded by Councillor Stakilo. Be it resolved that council now reconvenes to the regular council meeting. Call the question. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Daly. Be it resolved that the appeal hearing for the order to demolish the structure and level the site at lots 14/16, block 25, plan 243 DLTO, and that's 19 Memorial Boulevard, be now concluded. I'll call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Next is the consent agenda. Under action items, we have the outstanding receivable accounts that are added to taxes. So be it resolved that the following receivable accounts be added to taxes. We've got 108 3rd Avenue Northeast, $1,538.11. That was for weed control and property cleanup. And that goes the same for 301 3rd Avenue Northeast, $255.15 there. That all totals up to $1,793.26. And that as recommended by the Director of Finance and the Tax Clerk. Under B, there's some filing items. Number one, the Intermountain Insight for July 1st to September 30th of this year. Mountain View School Division's News Digest for October 27th. The Dauphin Friendship Center newsletter for November. And Manitoba News Release, the Municipal and Northern Relations recommendations from independent review of the Planning Amendment Act. And that is all recommended by the Deputy Mayor and the City Manager. So moved by Councillor Sobering and seconded by Councillor Ray. Be it resolved that all those items listed and read under item 5 consent agenda be approved and form part of these minutes. Any questions, comments regarding those items? Being none, we'll call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Bellamere, seconded by Councillor Sobering. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the following corporate report for tonight's regular council meeting, and that is of the city manager for the month of October. Anything you'd like to highlight in there, City
Sure.
Manager. Go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So in my report for October, one of the things I want to highlight is that I've been working with the airport manager to make sure that we have a good plan in place for snow removal for the runway and the taxiway in the apron at the Dauphin Airport. We want to make sure that flights that are coming in and out do so when there's some white stuff or some ice on the ground. Over the last few years, we've been working together to make sure that the level of service is acceptable. One of the main uses of our airport, especially in the wintertime, is for medical transport or emergency evacuations. And, we all know minutes and seconds count. And using a plane to get to Winnipeg is a lot quicker than an ambulance. And sometimes the roads are closed. So we try to have that air option available. And we have partnered with the province's contracted medical evacuation provider, and the medical transport perimeter is one of them, to have the province pay for some of those costs, and we have been successful in doing that, so we'll continue to do that. We've also had good success with outsourcing some of the initial snow removal or ice removal work to a third-party contractor in town. The runway is something that we really want to make sure it's preserved, and we don't want to damage it with equipment. So we're very particular about snow removal and ice control on the runway. Also, Transport Canada has regulations about we can't just throw sand and salt on the runway. If we put it on, it has to be where there's, and no one can land on it, and then it has to be cleaned off once it does its work. So it's very limited circumstances when we would use a lot of sand, but coming in with some equipment, heavier equipment than what we have at the airport, and peeling off some of the ice, or moving larger quantities of snow in big storm events. Those are the things that we would use a third-party contractor for. So we've put some of those plans in place and have some of those relationships established. So we are looking forward to having better level of service again at the airport, and the snow can actually hold off as long as possible, and that would be ideal. Second thing I wanted to highlight is our Public Works Foreman, Terry Gennick, has issued his notice of retirement. His last day was October 23rd, and we are recruiting for a new Public Works Foreman. And I do want to wish Terry a happy retirement and good health, and a long and I'm going to say productive, because he's a pretty young guy, and I don't think that he's just going to be sitting around watching TV. So productive retirement too. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Charla, City Manager. Any questions or comments regarding that report? Seeing none, we'll call the questions then. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Daly and seconded by Councillor Ray. Be it resolved that the council accepts as information the following corporate report for tonight's regular council meeting. This one of the Deputy City Manager for October. Anything to highlight, Lisa?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor Loughlin. November is Radon Action Month, and my report this month focuses on the city's ongoing efforts to demonstrate leadership in addressing the health risks associated with radon exposure. Health Canada data indicates that Manitoba has some of the highest radon levels in the country, with the 2024 Cross Canada Radon Survey finding that 43% of homes in Manitoba exceed the national radon guideline of 200 becquerels per cubic meter. Based on the available data so far, Dauphin has the greatest prevalence of dangerous levels of radon, and this needs to be addressed. In our most recent 100 free radon test kit campaign over the winter and spring of 2024-25, the results showed 84% of the homes tested above the 200 becquerels per cubic meter, and the highest reading was nearly 4,000 becquerels per cubic meter, which is alarming. Health Canada has determined that in 2024 alone, 235 cases of lung cancer and 165 deaths in Manitoba were attributable to radon exposure. So in November, we will be hosting another radon information session, and also our third annual 100 free radon test kit giveaway. So please stay tuned for more messaging on that coming out later this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments regarding that report? Seeing none, I'll call the questions then. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Sobering. Be it resolved that the finance accounts, having been examined by council, be hereby authorized and approved as follows. Check totals ranging from 1159 to 1219. That's 61, totaling $1,109,056.84. No voided checks in the current range. There was a voided check in the past range. Was check 1108 DRK restorations of $1,870.04. It was reissued in the legal name, and there were 4 electronic payments totaling $2,914.83. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll call the questions in. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Sobering. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the unaudited financial statements before PSAB adjustments for the period ending September 30th, 2025, including number 1, general fund balance sheet and income statement, and number 2, the utility fund balance sheet and income statement. Any questions there? Seeing none, call the questions then. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Stakilo. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the reserve report for the period ending September 2025. Any questions there? None? Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Thank you. I've been asked by our Director of Finance to just highlight the comments on the second page of the variance analysis. So for the general fund, we are looking at having a surplus in 2025. We still have 2 months of the year left, and we already know that there's some work that was not able to be completed. So we are looking at determining what can we do to ensure the money either gets spent this year on things that we maybe cut earlier in the budget, or saving them so that we can do this work next year. Same thing for the utility fund. There is a bit of a surplus anticipated in that area as well. So just to highlight that. So I think that sometimes guides some of our discussions as we're ending 1 year going into the next. What's our surplus? So what can we look at using that money for next year? If it has to be saved for that work that needs to be done, or can it be used someplace else?
There we go. Thank you very much. I'll call the questions then. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Ray. Be it resolved that that council accepts as information the budget variance analysis for the period ending September 2025. Any questions there? Seeing none, we'll call the questions. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Daly. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the minutes and reports from the following committees. The first one, Dauphin Recreation Services, had a regular board meeting back on October 16th. And the second one is the Dauphin Community Band report, and that one was October 18th. Any questions or comments regarding those? Go ahead, Councillor Bellemare.
Just a comment about the rec report. So someone else is writing those reports, and it was just clear. It was well done, and I really enjoyed reading it.
Perfect. Any other questions? No comments? No. Call the questions in. All in favor? Any opposed? No. Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Stakilo. Whereas the City of Dauphin has been approved for funding under the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, Local Leadership in Climate Adaptation, LLCA program, receiving a grant of up to $70,000 to support the development of a climate adaptation plan. And whereas the Climate Adaptation Plan project has a total cost of $89,870 plus applicable taxes, and additional funding of $15,000 has been secured through the Manitoba Climate Adaptation Fund, reducing the city's net contribution to $4,870. So be it resolved that Council accepts as information a memorandum dated November 3rd, 2025 from the Project and Development Manager recommending approval of the FCM grant agreement. And further be it resolved that Council agrees with the Project and Development Manager's recommendation and authorizes the Federation of Canadian Municipalities grant agreement be signed and sealed by the Mayor and the City Manager on behalf of the City of Dauphin. And any questions, comments there? Seeing none, we'll call the questions. All in favor? Any opposed? Nope. Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Sobering, whereas Section 81(1) of the Municipal Act allows a council to appoint a person with the title youth member to sit with council, and whereas that youth member must be at least 18 years of age or enrolled as a full-time student in a school, and whereas a youth member can participate in council's deliberations but is not counted for the purpose of determining a quorum or deciding a vote of council. Be it resolved that council approves, or appoints, I should say, Danica Chartrand and Jake Carrier as the City of Dauphins youth members on council effective immediately to the end of June 2026. So welcome to you two. You both look so excited. Any questions or comments? Now, next meeting speeches will be needed. Yes, thank you. All in favor? None opposed, of course. Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Stakilo, seconded by Councillor Ray, whereas Section 5.0 of the Organizational Bylaw 02/2023 requires that the first meeting of council in November each year, council must elect or appoint a deputy mayor to act in the place of the mayor when the mayor is unable to carry out the powers, duties, and functions of the office. And whereas nominations for deputy mayor must be submitted to the city manager prior to the November meeting, and in the absence of nominations, the mayor may appoint the deputy mayor. And whereas at the committee of the whole meeting on October 20th, 2025, only one nomination was received for the position of deputy mayor. And whereas Councillor Christian Loughlin was therefore acclaimed as deputy mayor for the 2025-2026 year, be it resolved that council formally approves and the appointment of Councillor Christian Loughlin as deputy mayor for the 2025-26 year, effective immediately until the end of the council term in accordance with Organizational Bylaw 02/2023. Are there any questions or comments regarding that? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? None opposed? Yeah. Motion carried. Be it resolved, moved by Councillor Stakilo, seconded by Councillor Bellemare, whereas the province of Manitoba has activated the Disaster Financial Assistance Program to provide aid to municipalities affected by the 2025 wildfires and requires a formal council resolution to support each claim submitted under the program. And whereas the council or the City of Dauphin served as a host community for multiple evacuees from wildfire affected areas and incurred costs related to facility operations and emergency response. So be it resolved that council accepts as information a memorandum dated October 8th, 2025 from the safety manager recommending support for the city's claim submission to the province of Manitoba under the 2025 wildfires DFA program. And further be it resolved that council authorizes administration to proceed with the submission of the DFA claim, including all necessary documentation and requests for advance payments as appropriate. Any questions or comments there? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Daly, whereas the City of Dauphin issued a request for proposals, RFP, for consulting services related to building condition assessment and conceptual design for a new building addition at the Dauphin Fire Station. And whereas 3 proposals were received and reviewed by the Fire Chief and the Project and Development Manager, with the proposal from Sputnik Architecture being recommended as the most suitable and cost-effective option, offering local partnerships and reduced travel costs. Be it resolved that council accepts as information a memorandum dated November 3rd, 2025 from the Project and Development Manager recommending approval of the proposal submitted by Sputnik Architecture for a total cost not to exceed $55,000 plus applicable taxes. And further be it resolved that council agrees with the project and development manager's recommendation and authorizes the contract with Sputnik Architecture to proceed with the building assessment and conceptual design project for the Dauphin Fire Station to be signed and sealed by the city manager on behalf of the City of Dauphin. Any questions or comments there? Seeing none, we'll call the questions. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Ray, whereas Manitoba Crime Stoppers is a non-profit organization that provides an anonymous and secure platform for citizens to report information about criminal activity, offering cash rewards for tips that lead to arrests or prevent crimes, and operating a 24/7 tip line and digital reporting system. And be it resolved that Council accepts as information correspondence dated October 20th, 25, from Fran Miles and Mark Bernard, the chair and vice chair of Manitoba Crime Stoppers, requesting financial support from the City of Dauphin in the form of a donation equivalent to 30 cents per capita or a flat contribution to assist with the costs of tip awards, program promotion, and operational expenses. And further, be it resolved that Council refers the Crime Stoppers funding request to the 2026 budget deliberations for consideration. Any comments, questions there? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Stikilo, whereas Stars Air Ambulance is a non-profit organization providing life-saving emergency medical transport and critical care services across Manitoba, responding to more than 1,200 missions annually. And be it resolved that Council accepts as information correspondence from Madeline Wheeler, Donor Relations and Development for STARS Manitoba Foundation, requesting financial support from municipalities to help sustain operations with suggested contributions of $1 to $2 per capita or an annual donation of the municipality's choosing. And further, be it resolved that Council refers the funding request from STARS Manitoba, the foundation, to the 2026 budget deliberations for consideration. Any questions or comments there? None. Call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Stikilo, seconded by Councillor Daly. Be it resolved that Bylaw 12/2025, being a bylaw of the City of Dauphin, amending Bylaw 02/2009 for the regulation and control of traffic and parking in the City of Dauphin, accessible parking, this is on 2nd Avenue Northwest, be now read a first time. Questions, comments regarding this? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Stikilo. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the following invitation. The Dauphin Christmas Parade of Lights Committee inviting us to their parade for 2025, happening on Saturday, November 29th. Further, be it resolved that all expenses related to council and senior management attending these events be borne by the City of Dauphin. Probably no questions, maybe comments. No. Seeing none, well, then we'll call the questions and comments. All in favor? No opposed. Motion carried. Finally, moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Ray. This is for the council accepting councillors' reports for the regular council meeting of November 3rd. That's tonight. So we'll get to those reports before we approve this motion. And we'll start. Mayor Boziak always likes to go to the right, so I'll be polar opposite and go to the left.
Left leaning.
Councillor
Attaboy.
Sobering. Yeah.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Lachlan. Not a ton of meetings to report. There was on the 22nd of October economic development meeting. I was also in attendance at the Credit Union Place for the dispersal of money for the Manitoba Games Legacy Fund. On the 24th, the Deputy City Manager and myself met with MLA Ron Costician just regarding concerns of the activities and on the area around the safe warm space, and just had a positive discussion. On the 30th, I attended a meeting virtually regarding the craft district, and it was mostly technical details laid out by the Urban Systems Consulting, and just some discussion on budgeting and next steps. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Councillor Sobering. Councillor Stikilo.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. For myself, October 20th regular council meeting, on the 27th the planning and priorities meeting, and then I too was in attendance to the aforementioned economic development meeting on the 22nd, and that ends my report. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Bellemare.
Okay, thank you. Went to the Prairie Mountain Health AGM virtual. They continue to work on staffing issues. I went to the Riding Mountain Park Plan meeting at Dauphin Public Library. The new superintendent, Tom Sheldon, was there, and several staff members as well. And they ran a workshop to gather input on issues and ideas for the development of their long overdue park plan. I think 2012 was their last plan, so due to be updated. 23rd, I went to the Beautification Advisory Committee, and summer activities were reviewed, and the next meeting is a longer planning meeting for 2026. 27th of October, a planning and priorities meeting, and the 28th, I went to a DDAC meeting at the Watson, and as always, they're looking for volunteers, both for individual events and for ongoing happenings, so call Ryan at the Watson for more information. They'd love to hear from you. And several dates. We're working on that second-hand art sale on November 21st, so mark that on your calendar. We have tons of bargains and a great variety of artistic items for sale, and we have a couple of entertaining art activities for you to enjoy and cupcakes. So make sure you come on the 21st. And the 30th, I attended a delicious thank you volunteers meal at the Active Living Center. There were 143 volunteers present, representing the fundraising and the service aspect of the center. And they, of course, do meal deliveries, 16,000 meals delivered last year, 50-50, bingo, exercise leadership, pierogi making, and others. So the board is very pleased with the community support because they couldn't do all they're doing without having all these valuable volunteers helping them out. And of course, Country Fest tickets are on sale. VIP is sold out, so make sure you get yours. Jelly Roll is very awesome. And kudos to all those who enjoyed Halloween in such a fun and safe way. We had more costume people at our door this year than in a long time, and lots of highly decorated yards. That was pretty cool. And the musical Dauphin Apocalypse, written by local guy Peter Naldoni and performed by talented singers and actors in our community, was another highlight. So onwards to Christmas season. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bellemare. Councillor Ray.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Lachlan. October 20th was our last regular council meeting. On the 22nd, I also attended the Summer Games Legacy Ceremony at the Cup. And on the 27th, the Planning and Priorities meeting here at City Hall. And that concludes my report.
And finally, thank you, Councillor Ray. Councillor Daly.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Lachlan. October 21st, I had a lengthy telephone meeting with Harvey Armstrong of the Super 8 with respect to drainage issues on that property. On October 22nd, I met with City Manager Griffiths with respect to the Super 8 drainage issues, and she was all over it and will be continuing to work with Mr. Armstrong on that issue, or those issues. On October 22nd, I also attended the 2024 Summer Games Legacy announcements. And on October 27th, I joined a PNP meeting via Teams. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Councillor Daly. So with the youth members officially being appointed to council now, we won't make you read reports today, but going forward, the next one, November 17th. So you guys have to have reports. So we won't pressure you too much tonight. Just before we finish off, I want to say congratulations to Dauphin's Country Fest on their great lineup. You always know it's going to be a really good festival when people are lining up outside the building when tickets go on sale. And obviously, it sounds like tickets are going really well. We have one of the biggest Jelly Roll fans here, as you heard in Councillor Bellemare, very excited for the festival. So just want to say congratulations to Country Fest. And I, too, was at the Manitoba Summer Games presentations at Credit Union Place as well. Just another tip of the hat to Carla and Clayton for taking on that what was probably hoped to be a 2 or 3 year adventure turned into almost 10. So congratulations to them to finally putting like a wrap up on that. So two great things that happened in our community here over the last week or so. So with that being said, moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Ray. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the councillors' reports for the regular council meeting of November 3rd, 2025. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carried. And moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be it resolved that council